Hello, sixth graders, and welcome to 7.1, where we will be discussing equations and inequalities this chapter. And specifically for this section, we're going to write equations. All right. Our learning target today, make sure you're writing this in, is I can describe how to write word sentences as equations. I like to think of this as going from English to math. And a lot of times, I'll give the English teachers a little bit of grief because I'll let them know that, writing equations is kind of like the shortcut way in math as to how you would do it in English by writing full sentences. We're taking the shortcut here. All right, so that's our goal for today. Let's start by taking a look at what an equation actually is. So a little bit of vocab to start. An equation is a mathematical sentence that uses an equal sign to show that two expressions are equal, right? So a lot of times expressions and equations aren't really used correctly. People will interchange these two, but these two things are different. An expression can have a number or a letter and an operation or multiple. So 4 plus 8 is a numerical expression. Or x plus 8, it has a letter. We would consider that an algebraic expression. Whereas equations now, you can see in the word EQUA, same as EQUA, have an equal sign. So for example, 4 plus 8 equals 12. There's an equal sign in here. Or x plus 8 equals 12. To write an equation, we're going to look for keywords or phrases such as is, the same, or equals to determine where to place your equal sign. This is one of the most common, all right? I would write this one in. Is, in a word problem, is basically saying equals. It's a big hint there, okay? All right, let's see an example as to what kind of problems we might encounter here. It says, write the word sentence as an equation. The sum of a number n and 7. That's our first keyword. So remember, sum of means to add. And what am I adding? A number n and 7. So n plus 7 would be that first part. Here it is. It's popping right up again. Is equal. And what's it equal to? Well, the last part is 15. So here's my equation. The sum of a number n and 7, so n plus 7, equals 15. So like I said before, here's the English sentence. Here's the math sentence. It's kind of a shortcut, which is pretty nice. So this would be your answer. N plus 7 is equal to 15. All right, let's try another one. A number y decreased by 4 is 3. Okay, so y decreased by 4, decreased by means subtract. So we would take y and subtract 4. There's is again. Is means equal. And 3 is just the last part of my sentence. So y minus 4 equals 3. And one thing to note there is that subtraction, be careful of how you order. If you put 4 minus y, that is incorrect. Because order matters when you're subtracting and dividing. Here, you could have put 7 plus n equals 15, and that would be correct as well. Because Order does not matter when you're just adding. You can use the commutative property of addition to switch the order, and it won't change the answer. But here, you cannot. With subtraction and division, be very, very careful of the order that you're putting in your different terms. That's the kind of hint I'll give you. I would definitely write that down. All right, lastly, letter C. It says 12 times a number P. 12 times the number P. Okay, I see a lot of students do this. 12 times P. Remember, now that we're in algebra, we don't really like to put the multiplication sign all that often because it looks like X, right? When we're using letters, it looks like 12xp. Well, that kind of looks like a variable. There's a better way to do that in algebra, and it's by just smushing these two terms next to each other. Yeah, 12 times number P, 12p right next to each other means or implies multiplication. Okay, here they just said equals 48. So 12p equals 48. Again, we're really shortening up these English sentences and putting in them essentially into math sentences or what we call equations. All right, go ahead and pause the video here for 1, 2, 3, and 4 to see how you do. All right, starting with number 1 here, we have 9 less than a number B. All right, less than means subtract. Again, please be careful with the order. The most common mistake here is I see people just say, oh, the 9's written first, so it'd be 9 minus B. Well, think about if I were to say 9 less than my age. How would you find that? Well, you'd actually have to start with my age and subtract 9. So here we would be at B minus 9 equals 2. Be very careful. Read and reread these subtraction equations because they can be tricky. Again, if you want to find your answer for that, you'd have to start with B and subtract 9. A lot of times less than, if you see less than written, a lot of times you're going to switch the order of those two. Right? Number 2, the product of a number G and 5 is 30. Product means multiply. So I'm multiplying G and 5, so that would be 5G. Is means equals 30. So 5G equals 30. Number 3, a number K increased by 10. All right, so K increased by means add. So K plus 10 is the same as, remember another way to say equals 24. Or remember, if you put 10 plus K equals 24, that's the same. Because the commutative property of addition says you can switch around the order and you'll still get the same answer. Number 4, now the quotient of, so we're going to be using division here. Be careful of your order. The quotient of a number Q and 4. Quotient of a number Q and 4 is equals 12. So Q divided by 4 is 12. If these two would have been reversed, you'd have had to reverse this order. So if they would have said the quotient of 4 and a number Q, so if they'd have reversed those two orders, you'd have to also reverse the order here. So again, careful on division and subtraction. All right, we're moving on to a little bit more of a word problem here. It says 10 servers decorate 25 tables for a wedding. Each table is decorated as shown. So they've got some purple candles and some white candles. Let C be the total number of white and purple candles. Which equation can you use to find C? Okay, so let's think about this. There's 25 tables total for a wedding. And C is the total number of candles. Okay, let's count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 purple candles, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 white candles. Okay, so if I were to write this out in words, I would say the total number of candles, because again, that's what we're looking for. C, total number of candles, would be equal to my number of tables times the number of candles at each table. That makes sense. The total number of candles that I need would be the number of tables that I have multiplied by the number of candles at each table. So which equation looks like that? Well, the total number of candles, that was C, equals the number of tables. How many tables did I have? That was 25. Times the number of candles at each table. Well, I have 6 purple and 4 white. So times, I need to add those together. So 4 plus 6, or 6 plus 4, it doesn't really matter how you look at that. Right? So which equation represents this? C equals, well, they all start out like that, 25 times, well, this is 10 times and this is 10 times, so we can kind of eliminate C and D. And this is 25 plus, well, we're trying to multiply our number of tables by the number of candles at each table. So we're not adding either. We're taking 25 and we're multiplying that by the number of candles at each table, which, remember, when you take a number and you smoosh it next to parentheses, like in letter B, that implies multiplication. So 25 times 4 plus 6. So the correct answer would be letter B. All right, finishing up with the real life example today. It reads, after 2 rounds, 24 students are eliminated from a spelling bee. There are 96 students remaining. Write an equation you can use, so the end goal, we should have an equation, to find the number of students that started the spelling bee. All right, this problem is kind of like working backwards because we know how many are in it now, but we also know how many have been eliminated. So we could find the number of students that started. So let's write it out in words again. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find the number of students that started. So number of students that started. And to be able to find that, what we could do is we could subtract the number of students eliminated and that would give us the number of students remaining. Okay, do I know how many students started? Well, right now, I do not know. So I'm going to call that, if it's an unknown, I'm going to call it a variable, and I'm going to call it S for students. If I were to take that number and I were to subtract the number of students that were eliminated, right? So eliminated, I would be thinking about subtraction. There's 24 students that were eliminated. That should equal the total number of students that are remaining, which is 96. Okay, and there's my equation. S minus 24 equals 96. The number of students that started, and then I eliminated 24, so subtracted 24, gives me a total of 96. All right, we're not going to get into yet how to solve these. I'm sure some of you are already trying to do that, but we're just, again, writing an equation. All right, Lastly, if you would, please pause the video now for 5, 6, and 7 to try these 3 out on your own. All right, number 5, you entered an elevator and go down 7 floors. You exit on the 10th floor. Write an equation you can use to find the floor where you entered the elevator. This is very similar to the last problem. You're trying to find where you entered. We don't know what that is, called a variable x. And you went down 7 floors, so minus 7 should equal where you got off, which is the 10th floor. X minus 7 equals 10. Next one, together, it's kind of a keyword. You and a friend have $52. Your friend has 28. Write an equation you can use to find out how much you have. All right, so your friend has $28. Plus, we don't know how much money you have, so we'll call that X. Should equal the total that you have together is 52. And lastly, the typical person takes about 24,000 breaths each day. It's kind of a cool statistic. Write an equation you can use to find the number of breaths a typical person takes each minute. All right, so we could say the total that you take, so 24,000 breaths in a day, should equal, let's see, number of breaths each minute. Okay, if we took 24 times it by x, and then also times that by 60, that would be how we could find our answer for each minute. Okay? That one's a little bit trickier. So hopefully you did okay on those, and hopefully the writing equations is making sense. Again, the big idea is going from an English sentence to a math sentence, and equations have equal signs. From there, use your keywords, and it should be all good. All right, good luck on 7.1. Let me know if you have more questions. I'll see you next time.